Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Emma Carter, a dedicated 28-year-old nurse, walks briskly through the crowded hallways of a New York City hospital. Every day is a struggle, overtime hours pile up, patients stream in, and yet her bank account remains desperately empty. Student debt, unpaid rent, medical bills, everything seems to pile up like an impossible mountain. That evening, on her way home, Emma opens an envelope that makes her heart race, a threatening student loan reminder. The tone is clear: if she doesn't pay soon, her assets will be seized. She collapses on the couch, her face buried in her hands. The air in her tiny apartment seems to shrink around her. That's when his phone vibrates. An unknown message. "We can settle your debts. A meeting tomorrow, if you agree to a special condition." Emma reads and rereads the message, incredulous. A special condition? What kind of condition? Her fingers tremble as she dials the number indicated. On the other end of the line, a calm but authoritative voice. "We have a solution. A temporary marriage to Mr. Andrew Whitman. In exchange, all your debts will be forgiven, and you will receive substantial financial support. There is no emotional commitment. You are free to continue your life normally." Emma remains silent, her mind whirring. A sham marriage. For some, it would be unthinkable; for her, it might be the only chance to breathe. The prospect of living without fear of debt makes her heart beat faster. That night, Emma doesn't sleep. Between despair and hope, a decision with far-reaching consequences begins to form: accept this marriage, and risk her freedom and her feelings, or continue to sink deeper into debt, until she suffocates. The next morning, Emma heads to the elegant office of lawyer Thomas Gray. The marble floor and landscape-adorned walls exude luxury and power. Emma, dressed simply in a black shirt and trousers, feels out of place. Thomas Gray, a man in his 50s with piercing eyes, greets him with a professional smile. "Thank you for coming, Miss Carter. Do you understand that what we are offering is exceptional?" "Yes. I think I have no choice," Emma replies, her voice trembling. Thomas explains the contract to her in detail. She will marry Andrew Whitman, a discreet but influential billionaire, for a full year. All her debts will be immediately forgiven, and she will receive a comfortable monthly allowance. No romantic commitment is required. Everything is legal, signed before a notary. Emma listens, her heart pounding. The temptation is immense, but a doubt persists. "What if I refuse?" she asks. "So you continue to struggle with your debts? You know it's practically impossible." Emma's gaze wanders into space for a moment. She thinks about her small apartment, her overdrawn bank account, all those nights spent crying alone. She clenches her fists. "Very well. I accept. But I want to be able to continue my work at the hospital, and maintain my independence." Thomas nods, satisfied. "Understood. You will meet Mr. Whitman tomorrow. I advise you to be careful and professional." Emma leaves the office, contract in hand, a mixture of apprehension and hope in her heart. She knows her life is about to change, but she doesn't yet know that this sham marriage could expose her to emotions and dangers she never imagined. The next day, Emma finds herself in front of the imposing glass building of Whitman Enterprises. Her heart is pounding. She clutches her bag, aware that in a few minutes, she will meet the man to whom she is legally committed for a whole year. Andrew Whitman is waiting for her in his office. Tall, elegant, with slightly salt and pepper hair, he embodies power and wealth. But behind his cold gaze, Emma senses a profound loneliness. "You must be Emma Carter." "Nice to meet you," he said in a calm, almost gentle voice. "Pleased to meet you, Mr. Whitman," she replies, a little hesitantly. Andrew watches her carefully, assessing her posture, her confidence, her nervousness. "I assume you know why you're here." "I'm not looking for a husband, just someone to formalize the contract." "Nothing more." Emma nods. "Yes, I understand. My role is clear. A silence falls. Andrew observes Emma, intrigued by her sincerity. He's never met someone who agrees to a sham marriage without asking too many questions, but with obvious determination. So, we'll sign tomorrow in front of the notary. You continue your work, and I'll manage my affairs. Everything remains strictly professional, he said, standing up to offer her his hand. Emma shakes his hand with a slight hesitation. She senses a strange energy, a mixture of tension and curiosity. Their relationship begins with the strictest formality, but Emma senses that this encounter won't be so easy to forget. As Emma leaves the building, she feels both relieved and worried. She knows the contract is signed, but she doesn't know that this sham marriage will plunge her into a world of luxury, danger, and emotions she never imagined. A few weeks after signing the contract, Emma is working as usual in the intensive care unit. Patients are arriving one after the other, machines are humming, and every minute counts. She's focused, her movements precise and quick, when an alarm sounds in the corridor. An unknown patient suddenly collapses, unconscious. Emma rushes in, but to her surprise, it's no ordinary patient, it's Andrew Whitman, who had come in under the guise of a routine medical appointment. His skin turns pale, his breathing ragged. "Nurse Carter. Help me," he chokes, panting. Without thinking, Emma activates her nursing reflexes. She takes his blood pressure, checks his pulse, and immediately calls the on-call doctor. Her hands are shaking slightly, but each movement is precise and efficient. She administers first aid, adjusts the oxygen, and begins resuscitation with determination. Seconds feel like hours. Andrew struggles to stay conscious, and Emma doesn't give up for a second. Her knowledge and composure are her only weapon in the face of the gravity of the situation. After a few tense minutes, Andrew's vital signs stabilize. He finally opens his eyes, panting but alive. "You saved my life," he breathes, his voice breaking with emotion. Emma, out of breath, shakes her head. "I'm just doing my job, Mr. Whitman. You're in good hands." In this moment of crisis, an invisible bond is formed between them. Andrew realizes that this young woman, both courageous and determined, is not just his contract partner, she is essential to his life, and perhaps even to his heart. Emma, for her part, feels a strange mix of adrenaline and emotion. She's never been so close to someone so powerful, and yet she senses that Andrew is vulnerable, just as she was when faced with her debts and difficulties. This rescue, although professional, marks the beginning of an unexpected complicity and an emotional tension that no legal contract can regulate. After the incident, Andrew Whitman can't stop thinking about Emma. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees her precise movements, her quick thinking, her calm under pressure. For the first time, he feels a strange mixture, admiration, gratitude, and something he still refuses to call anything else. The next day, he asks to see Emma in a more private setting. They meet in a small, quiet office, away from the hustle and bustle of the hospital. Andrew, normally reserved and distant, seems different. "I wanted to thank you personally, Emma, for yesterday. You saved my life," he said, his voice softer than usual. Emma, embarrassed, lowers her eyes slightly. "I'm just doing my job, Mr. Whitman. You're alive, that's all that matters." Andrew smiles, but it's loaded with something Emma has never seen in him, real vulnerability. "You don't understand, what you did was much more than your job. You risked your energy, your concentration, for me." Emma feels her heart pound. A strange warmth spreads through her. She agreed to this sham marriage for her debts, for her financial freedom, but at that moment, she realizes that her contract could expose her to emotions she hadn't anticipated. "You're special, Emma. And I don't say that often to anyone," Andrew continues. Their eyes meet, and for a moment, silence speaks louder than words. This marriage, which began as a mere formality, takes on an unexpected dimension. A sincere and deep connection is woven between them, fragile but real. As Emma leaves the office, she feels a strange certainty: this sham marriage, this legal contract, will not remain purely professional. Something is changing, and neither Andrew nor she will be able to ignore it for long. A few weeks later, Emma returns home after a long day at the hospital. She opens her computer and discovers an unexpected notification. An online tabloid article about Andrew Whitman is circulating rapidly. The headline is sensationalist. Andrew Whitman married, but for what mysterious reason? Her heart sinks. She immediately recognizes that the article is about their sham wedding. The details are sketchy, but the press is beginning to speculate. Emma knows that if this gets out too much, her reputation could be damaged. Even if the wedding isn't romantic, people will judge, and she will be at the center of this scandal. The next day, Andrew calls her. His voice is calm but firm. Emma, we have a problem. The tabloid has information about our marriage. We need to act before this gets out of hand. Emma frowns, worried. What can I do? I haven't done anything wrong. I know, but people love sensational stories. You have to keep your cool and remain professional. Let me handle the reporters. Emma feels enormous pressure. The sham wedding, which was supposed to be simple and secure, is turning into a potential media trap. She must now protect her career, her dignity, and her privacy. At the same time, this crisis brings them even closer. Andrew shows genuine trust and appreciation for Emma, and she begins to understand that he sees her not just as a contractual partner, but as someone worthy of trust and loyalty. For the first time in a long time, Emma feels like her life could change for the better, but she also realizes that the price of that security might mean navigating dangerous and complex waters, where the press, rumor, and public opinion could turn everything upside down. A few days after the media scandal, Andrew invites Emma to accompany him to a charity dinner organized by Whitman Enterprises. She hesitates, aware that this world is completely foreign to her, but understands that her presence is important to preserve their secret. Upon arriving at the event, Emma is impressed by the luxury and refinement, glittering chandeliers, elegantly attired guests, discussions about charity projects and investments. She feels slightly intimidated, but Andrew remains by her side, attentive to every detail. Are you nervous? He asks, lowering his voice, a slight smile on his lips. Just a little. All this is different from my everyday life. Don't worry. You're here for me, but I want you to feel comfortable. You don't have to prove anything. As the evening progresses, Emma discovers another side of Andrew. Behind the powerful billionaire lies a sensitive man, concerned about the causes he supports, but also marked by loneliness. They discuss their lives, their ambitions, and their fears. Andrew listens attentively, and Emma feels heard in a way she's never known. At one point, as they watch the ballet of guests and hushed conversations, Andrew says, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't been there, in the hospital. You did more than save my life. You showed me that people can still be trusted. Emma's heart tightens. These words, simple but sincere, awaken an emotion in her that she tries to control. For the first time in a long time, she feels understood and valued not for her contractual role, but for herself. As they leave the party, a gentle, almost electrifying tension builds between them. The sham marriage, meant to be a formality, begins to transform into a true, fragile but undeniable bond that neither can ignore. As the weeks pass, the routine of the sham wedding becomes strangely comfortable. Andrew and Emma see each other regularly, sharing meals, meetings, and unexpected moments of togetherness. But Emma feels a shift within her that she can no longer ignore. She's beginning to have real feelings for Andrew. One evening, while working together on a charity project, their hands accidentally brush against each other while reviewing documents. An unexpected warmth flows through Emma, and her heart races. She looks away, ashamed of her emotions. Emma, you're quiet. Is everything okay? Andrew asks, noticing her confusion. Yes, just tired. She lies, trying to control her feelings. But feelings don't go away so easily. Emma realizes that the sham marriage, which she agreed to solely to settle her debts, has become a source of emotions she hadn't anticipated. She wonders if Andrew feels the same way, or if he's simply respecting the boundaries of the contract. This inner tension is eating away at her. She loves her freedom, her financial security, but she's beginning to crave something more, a genuine connection with Andrew. Yet she refuses to give in, aware that the marriage of convenience is, above all, legal and transactional. One night, alone in her apartment, Emma writes in her journal. I feel alive when I'm with him, but I have to be careful. I can't mistake a contract for a heart. Not now. For Emma, every smile from Andrew, every word of gratitude, becomes a test of her own will. She struggles between reason and emotion, between security and desire. And she knows that one day she will have to make a choice, stick to the contract or let her heart speak, with all the risks that entails. A few weeks later, while Emma is concentrating on her work at the hospital, she receives an unusual call. A deep, menacing voice informs her that someone knows about the sham marriage and is threatening to reveal everything publicly. The call ends as abruptly as it began. Emma feels her stomach sink. She quickly realizes that this danger goes far beyond her debts or financial security. It could jeopardize her career, her reputation, and even Andrew's private life. She immediately tells Andrew about it, who instantly becomes serious. Emma, you've done more than enough for me. But this threat, we can't take it lightly. What do we do? Emma asks, worried. Andrew makes a quick decision. They must anticipate the threat before it becomes public. Emma is then plunged into a world she's never known, strategies, precautions, and constant vigilance. She uses her intelligence and nursing experience to observe suspicious behavior, analyze information, and help Andrew protect his business. During this crisis, their bond strengthens. Andrew sees in Emma not only a legal partner, but an indispensable and trusted ally. Emma, for her part, discovers the depth of her own loyalty and the courage she can muster when protecting someone she begins to truly love. You know, Emma, I never thought someone like you could become so important to me, Andrew confided one evening after a long day planning their defense. Emma feels her heart sink. This sham wedding, which was supposed to be strictly professional, becomes an emotional and real battlefield, where feelings mix with danger, and where every decision can change their future. After weeks of tension, crises, and forced intimacy, one evening, Andrew falls gravely ill. A high fever and extreme fatigue force him to remain bedridden. Emma, worried, stays by his side, watching over him day and night. His feelings, previously suppressed, finally burst into the open. Andrew. I can't keep pretending that this marriage doesn't mean anything to me, she whispers, her voice trembling, as she holds his hand. Andrew opens his eyes, surprised but attentive. Emma, are you serious? She nods, unable to lie. I like you. More than I should, maybe. But I can't ignore what I feel anymore, and I think you feel the same way. A heavy silence falls. Andrew looks at her for a long time, his face softened with emotion. Emma. I feel the same way. Since the hospital, since the charity dinner. I never thought a sham wedding could become something real. But with you, it happened. The barriers are falling. Their relationship, which began as a simple legal agreement, is becoming authentic. The feelings they had tried to repress finally come to light. A gentle, reassuring warmth fills the room, and for the first time, Emma and Andrew allow themselves to dream of a future where their bond is no longer merely contractual, but truly loving. For Emma, it's a mixture of relief and happiness. She's no longer just an indebted nurse, but a woman loved for who she truly is. For Andrew, it's confirmation that behind wealth and power, there can be a true love, fragile yet strong. The white marriage has ceased to be a simple contract, it has become the starting point of an unexpected and deep love. A few weeks after the confession, Emma and Andrew's lives begin to balance between their professional obligations and their budding relationship. The sham marriage has given way to a sincere connection, but they know the next step must be considered. One evening, in Andrew's elegant office, he gently takes Emma's hand. Emma, the contract has expired. We no longer have any legal obligations to each other. But I don't want this to end here. I want this to be real. Emma looks at him, her heart pounding. Andrew, you mean? Yes. I want to marry you, for real. Not out of obligation, not out of need, but because I love you. And I want us to build something together. Tears well up in Emma's eyes. She thinks back to all the nights she spent struggling with her debts, the moments of fear and loneliness, the sham marriage that seemed like a compromise solution, and that led her here, to true love. Yes. I want to, she breathes, with a smile filled with emotion. A few months later, surrounded by their family and friends, Emma and Andrew celebrate their real wedding. It is no longer a contract or a formality, but a sincere and shared promise. Emma, now free of debt and filled with love, realizes that what began as a sham marriage imposed by despair has transformed into a true love story, unexpected but profound. Andrew, meanwhile, discovers that behind wealth and power, the true treasure is love and shared trust. Together, they face their futures hand in hand, proving that sometimes the most unlikely paths lead to the most beautiful destinations.